Welcome. This is workshop 1 of the next round of Energetically Thrive in 2020. And so if you are, well, the only people here right now are the replay viewers. So first up, I just want to welcome you. Welcome to the community. Welcome to Shandara if you're new here. And welcome to tonight's training. I'm super excited that you're all here. Say hello. Let me know. This is a very interactive community. It's the way I like it. So say hello. I'd love to connect. So what are we talking about tonight? So I'm going to get all my comment screens out of the way there for the moment. Okay, what are we talking about? We are going to get into, I wrote an email on this just recently. We're going to talk about the energetic climate that we're currently in right now and the forecast of what's coming up, where we've come from since Solstice, where we're going, all the rest of that, so that we're all on the same page. We're also going to talk about demystifying some of those terms like Ascension, 5D, 3D, and actually work out what that actually means for us so that we'll bring it down onto a really practical level. We're going to, turn my glasses on, we're going to also talk about what's actually needed of you, what is being asked of you right now as an energetically aware person, as a light worker. Right? And what you need to understand about your energetic system so that you can step into that service. And not just service for the collective, but navigating the current climate so that you have access to your own up levels, to your own personal ascension, which is happening right alongside the collective, right? And how can that be a process that we're actually engaged in actively and thriving in, as opposed to being caught in this collective tide of it all? If you are jumping on live, because I know there'll be lots of you here live tonight, let me know. Say hello, because I would like to connect with you all as always and engage with you while I'm talking. So say hi as you're coming on. I'm going to hope that this is all working. It looks like it's working. Okay, so we're also going to talk about how your energetic system is an actual subtle body organ and what that means. It's got its own autonomic processes. It's also got the requirement to breathe a cycle. We're going to talk about that and what that means for you practically. And we're going to talk about what is the most powerful position to do energy work, right? Hello! Say hi. I love to know all the people are jumping up and getting hearts, but I don't know who you are. So what that means, what's the most powerful position to be working with energy? Okay. Hey, Helen. It's good to see you, sweet pea. Okay. What are the 5 pillars that are the way that we interact with and work with energy on the physical plane? We're going to talk about that tonight so that you can really bring that down. I want all of you to be in your power as we do this, okay? And how to create sustainable and consistent flow. Hey, Maria, it's so good to see you here live today. So the peeps who voted for the evening workshops got it. So that's great for our UK contingency, because they often get a bit of a raw deal when we do the workshops in the morning. It's hard to work with all our time zones. Okay, so given that, let's start with our forecast of where we're at. So as you know, 2020, we into, hey Jane, welcome to Shandara, another UK woman. Jennifer, welcome. So as you know, with our forecast, we entered into 2020 in a bit of a crazy explosion of all the shadows rising. This is the start of all the shadows escalating. This is not the start of Ascension, okay? This is considered, in fact, 2012 was considered our midway point, right? What we're in now is the escalation into the final decade, I guess I would say. Okay, most of us who are channeling this information or who are teaching it, who are following it closely, none of us believe that this is just going to miraculously happen this year, okay? What we're seeing now is a rapid acceleration of what cannot rise with us, what needs to be integrated and healthily released, okay? Now this is happening personally in yourselves, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit today, and obviously rising in the collective. Now, as it rises in the collective, it also is rising personally in you. So Okay, for Australia, we had started really in November with the bushfires, right? But that rolled straight into a series of floods followed by COVID. So, but that was a theme around safety. That was very root chakra orientated. Safety, security, survival, okay? All of that rose to be re-examined, re-explored, right? Now, obviously on the collective level, but I want you to think about what that meant for you personally, okay? And is still actually rising for you personally around it all. It's probably shifted. We're several months in, but there is still stuff rising in you. Yes, it's rising in the collective, but it is rising in you as well. Okay. Then we saw a next shadow rising around oppression, freedom, injustice. Okay. All of that started to rise. And that really crescendoed in the US. As we know, it was a very extreme, crazy experience. And it was interesting to watch again how the collective, that rose collectively, and how the collective is navigating that from 3D for the most part still. I'm going to demystify all these terms so it's not jargon in just a sec, okay? But that theme rose. Now, what was interesting is that theme rose for all of us personally. And I don't mean triggered by the collective in a way of guilt and shame and blame and all of those pieces. That was there too. But if you look at the themes of oppression and freedom in your own personal life, right? And when I point this out to you, this will probably be apparent for a lot of you, right? It came through all of my circles, all of the weavers, all my private clients, right? This escalation on personal freedom and just that oppression at that very local level, which looks really different. I'm not dismissing the collective shadow. That's a bigger issue and it's important, okay? But I'm talking about the personal for a second. Everyone started with, I found my voice at a new level. I'm making requests I normally wouldn't make. I'm not squashing down myself that I would normally squash down. I'm stepping into an extra act of bravery around all of that. I'm embracing my weirdness, right? I'm embracing who I really am. Screw it, right? There was a theme rising within us personally as well. So I want you to really be clear that even as we're watching the collective stuff rise to heal, we're also having a personal journey, which could look different, but the theme, if you tune into the theme, it's really similar. So if you've had anything related to that, if that's resonating, let me know, right? So I know how our conversation's landing or not landing. Okay, so from that perspective, I want you to understand that yes, there's a collective ascension happening, and it's been really intense, which is easy. Hey, Gwen, honey, which is easy for us to get lost in, right? The intensity of the collective's energy around these shadows has been intense and unprecedented. And have you noticed it swept globally around the world rapidly, right? And part of that's the age of technology, but part of that is the acceleration of the energies on the planet as well. Now, because our global collective is processing and filtering, that is actually can be distracting or difficult for you to even recognize your personal ascension that's happening right along and parallel with it and what is being asked of you here. So everyone here, every single person here who watches these workshops for sure, right? But presumably everyone in the community as well, has already actually made a soul agreement to ascend this lifetime from 3D to 5D. I'm going to talk about that in a moment so we get the technical jargon out of the way, okay? I don't really want to get caught up on the lingo. You've already agreed to do that. And for those of you here right now, you've actually agreed at a soul level to be the way keepers, the way showers, okay? Which means that you are actually in light worker service, okay? Now, what that means is that you are being asked now, and especially since Solstice, I'm going to talk about the shift since Solstice, okay? But you are being asked now to actually come into your power. It's like the first wave hit us, and it was so intense that it actually knocked a lot of the light workers for a bit of a six, right? If you're a light worker, then you're probably a sensitive empath. And the collective energy was intense, and people were being thrown out of their centers straight away because it was so unprecedentedly huge, that energy, right? But now, since Solstice, there's been a shift. In fact, Solstice marked a new timeline, right? And we are now being asked to be more proactive. And you can see this in the collective too, if you're looking, right? We're being asked to move into proactive action instead of reactive, which was the first half of 2019. We're all reacting and flying by the seat of our pants. That shifted, okay? And what does that mean for light workers? It means that we are being asked now to step up, to step into higher power. Okay. That's okay, Charlie. I get it. Most of us have kids. It's all good. You can catch the rest on replay if you need to. Okay, so we are being asked to step up at a new level, okay? Light workers need to regroup now and come into their power and ground, okay? Partly for your own personal ascension, first and foremost, okay? Because the way that we're navigating it currently is just crazy. It is not the most joyful experience, okay? It is not the most empowering experience. It is not actually in highest service to be trying to navigate all the work that's happening from this sense of fear and blame and guilt and shame and judgment. Like all of those energies are the lowest frequencies on our energetic scale, right? Those are not the most powerful places to be attempting to ascend from, right? And so we're being asked to come at this from a very new, empowered place. So partly for ourselves, but also partly because the way showers are being asked now to hold a frequency, to step into mastery, to do it differently, right? No more excuses, and I use this term gently, right? Not as a way to shame on anyone, that we're too sensitive and we're too empathic and we can't cope. We're on overload, right? We are being asked to step above that because we need to be able to support the collective, right? Now, not from a place of depletion, from a place of overflow. And I'm going to talk a lot about that this week, right? This is not, I serve the collective to the point of depletion and ignore myself at all. That is missing the point, okay? You want to come back into your power and you first, right? That is not selfish to do you first. And I want to talk briefly about the concept of the 100th monkey. Okay, if you know about this theory, you could Google this theory. This is not my theory, but if you've heard of it, let me know so I can see who actually knows what I'm talking about. But okay, I know Gwen knows because Gwen's a weaver, so she heard me talk about it recently. Okay, but essentially, the 100th monkey was a story done nearly 100 years ago, not quite, but it was a study done in Japan. And in Japan, they had a colony of monkeys isolated on an island, cut off. They're on an island, right? And they had an experiment where they started airdropping sweet potatoes onto the beaches down on this island. And the monkeys love sweet potatoes, but they didn't love that they were all covered in sand, okay? And eventually one young female monkey actually learnt to wash the sweet potatoes and then eat them. And she started showing a few others. And once she showed them, that cottoned on and they got the gist of it, right? But it's still just a small group. But it slowly built, okay? And then it reached a critical mass. So the idea of this study was to determine whether we are all sitting in a unified field of consciousness. Okay, very cool, right? We've actually been working on this idea for 100 years. So the idea was, are we sitting in a unified field of consciousness, and how do we test that? So these monkeys started to share that knowledge amongst themselves, right? And a small group clan got their acts together and all started doing it, right? And at some point, and the 100th monkey is an arbitrary number, but about that, they got a small group. Something really interesting happened. It reached critical mass. And what happened is every single monkey, no matter whether they lived on the island, spontaneously started washing their sweet potatoes. Secondly, the monkeys on the nearby islands, who had no contact with the monkeys on Island A, started washing their sweet potatoes, as did the monkeys on the mainland of Japan. And this all happened virtually simultaneously when critical mass hit. Okay. Now, what does that mean? It was like they did later studies with people in the UK and Australia. There was all sorts of studies done on it, right? But what does that mean for us, right? It means that your personal rise, your personal evolution in consciousness will serve as one of the 100th monkeys, okay? At some point, we will hit critical mass, okay? It's probably not, I mean, it's lucky, I actually believe. It's pretty lucky that that theory is in place, because asking every single individual on the planet to do the work that's required to reach the next level of consciousness would be a really daunting task. But if everyone, once we hit critical mass, if people suddenly have access naturally to that, the switch will flip, right? So you are here as one of the original monkeys. Wasn't the best way to put it, but you know what I mean, right? So, where are we at? Since Solstice, we have been asked to step forwards in higher power, in higher service. And I am being guided to lead women more fiercely, okay? I was kind of like, for the first 6 months of this year, doing a lot of emotional health support work, right? Which is valid. It was a really scary time, a lot of stuff rising for people, okay? And I was being really gentle and helping women just create clarity in their fields, get clear, come back, soothe the nervous system, come back into center, okay? And I'm being told now that that's not enough, that now I'm being asked to empower you to step forwards at a much higher level, because you need to understand your own power, okay? Power is a really, really contentious topic because it has a really funky connotation, especially for spiritual light workery type people. Okay, and we're going to talk more about that today and across the week, okay, because it's actually a really critical piece. And it's something that actually happens for weavers inside their weave. And I'm not going to focus on Shindara and weaving during these workshops, but you'll hear me talk about it because it is the most powerful modality I know to naturally move into a state of 5D over and over and over and over again. Okay, so you'll hear me talk about it, but I'm not trying not to focus on it. So, what do I even mean by 5D, 3D Ascension? Okay, I'm not going to go into a long story on it. Many of you have probably got some basic ideas. I'm going to give you a little bit more of that information just to put us all on the same page this week. So, we are moving forwards from one level of consciousness to another. Now, if you think of these levels of consciousness in a quantum universe as existing like Russian dolls, so one inside each other, in the same physical space, one inside each other, okay? So we have 3D, 4D, 5D. Now, we are currently straddling 3 of those dimensions all at the same time. On the planet, there's 3D, 4D, and 5D all occurring. And each and every single one of you is probably moving, not probably, you are moving between 3D, 4D, 5D virtually on a daily basis, okay? You are moving dimensionally. Now, a lot of that means like, what the hell does that mean? I'm not moving anywhere. No, all of these things are happening on the same physical plane, our physical earth plane, okay? But what it means is your level of consciousness is operating from a different perspective of reality, and therefore a different ability to access what is truth, what is possible, what is real, Okay, so 3D is governed. I'm not going to get into the details. I'm trying to do this quick so we don't spend hours here tonight, right? But 3D is governed primarily from the idea of polarity. Okay. Now, actually, a decade ago, I was teaching polarity in a really big way. The rise of the divine feminine, right? How many of us were teaching or learning about that? And the dynamics between the masculine and the feminine, polarity, right? That's not the only place polarity exists in 3D. There's a sense of right or wrong, black or white, right? This political party or that political party, right? There's judgment, there's division, there's camps, okay? Now, there are good things. I'm not going to bash 3D 100%, right? Because there are sometimes when 3D is not a horrible experience, right? But we're trying to rise beyond that. 4D serves as a bridge. Okay, now I would argue most of you here are operating predominantly, certainly before COVID, from 4D. Okay, 4D is an understanding. Okay, so 3D is also all about ego. I am separate from all of you. I am separate from God. I am a separate entity. Okay, it's that very separate type, divided, segmented, and encapsulated reality. Okay, 4D starts to move us beyond that. We have an understanding of our energetic nature. All of you probably have that. Well, you do, you're here. Okay, there's an understanding that there is something of a higher nature beyond just ourselves, and that we are a part of it, or we have access to it. Okay, and that is when you start to see universal law come in and law of attraction, right? All that sort of stuff started to filter through, and the understanding about our frequency, right? And our systems on that energetic level. Okay, so that's sort of 4D. It's considered a bridge to 5D. 5D goes one step further. 5D does a few things. 5D does a lot, and I'm going to touch on just a couple here. Okay, so if I don't cover everything, just know I'm just trying to give you some highlights here. 5D, the level of consciousness, understands that, holy moly, I am not separate from divine nature. I am made of divine nature. I am divine, right? It collapses timelines, right? Collapses the idea of past lives, parallel lives. Everything can be quantumly shifted to present moment. In 5D, everything is present moment, okay? It unifies everything, okay? Division and separate natures and understanding. If we are all of divine nature, okay, then all of us are made of the same thing. And if you broke apart your light body, which is some of the work that I teach, and you just unified into the field, you would realize that you are a part of everything, and everything is a part of you. Okay, now that starts to bring in a quantum nature. I'm not going to get into quantum physics, but those shifts are coming. And the biggest two shifts that I see happening in the 5D is understanding that your energetic nature is your primary nature, not a freaking add-on. It's not some extra little gift on the side. It is fundamentally your fundamental nature and your divine birthright, okay? Which means that energetics take a massive shift. When you are sitting up in 5D, anything is possible in present moment with collapsed timelines and access to a unified quantum field. And that is why they talk about 5D as being heaven on earth, okay? We're not leaving the earth plane. We're not transcending into bodies of light, okay? 5D is actually considered the last plane before that happens. This is about bringing your higher self embodied on a moment-to-moment basis. Now, all of you, my guess would be, have had experiences with your higher self, like you call in your higher self. I've done stuff with you here, processes here, right, where we've called in our higher self and we've embodied it briefly for that moment, okay? 5D is I am living with the integration of my higher self. And I am operating from my higher self and my energetic nature as who I am. Okay? So, 3D, 4D, and 5D are all existing on the earth plane. They're all operating within the physical body of our physical incarnation. Okay? Now, you can move between 3D, 4D, and 5D literally in a day, probably in an hour, right? 3D, when we've all been thrown into 3D, is a denser vibration, right? It's separative, it's judgment, it's less than, more than, right? Is that it's survival comes down, right? It's a loss of our divine nature, and we fall into a lower vibrational scale. And frankly, for most of us, especially those of us that are sensitive and empathic, it's a hard space to operate from. If you started using words like I'm flat, I'm down, I'm overwhelmed, I can't cope, okay, that's all 3D. Now we all go there, right? We're still trying to stretch between them all. 4D, you come back into what you probably right now conceive of as, oh, yeah, this is who I really am, right? I'm generally an empowered person. I'm generally aware of the spiritual nature and my potential, right? That sort of piece, okay? And then 5D, and maybe you've had some experiences of this too, is, oh my God, I am a part of everything in unified field and anything is possible. And my energetic nature, because I see it, creates miracles all around me. Now, the 5D is, and you know what, in 5D, you actually perceive the physical world differently. So this is an experience you might have actually had of 5D because it's the clearest and easiest way currently on the planet to see it, is when you are in nature, in an awe-inspiring experience of nature, in exact present moment, and all the details are vibrant and crystal clear, and you feel so connected to the world around you, and it's so beautiful. The colors are taken up a notch and vibrant, and you're just like, this is how it should be. Okay, that's a 5D experience. Really, it's a small one, but it's a 5D experience, right? So that is where we are headed. And you can have the exact same person. You can have 3 people sitting in front of that moment in nature, one seeing it from 5D, one seeing it from 4D, and one seeing it from 3D. Okay? So all of that is intersecting at the moment. And all of that, all of those levels of consciousness exist on the physical plane. Okay, so we're not suddenly going to elevate to bodies of light and no longer be on the earth plane at all. Okay, there are higher levels, 6 through to 12, there's probably more, but you know, the Akashic Records, for example, sits at 11. So there are higher planes, but they're not in physical incarnation, in the physical body. And there is a lot to be said for the physical body. Your oversoul chose to come down and experience physical body, incarnation into physical form. And not to get too woo-woo, but not just once, multiple times. Sometimes what feels like sequentially and sometimes in parallel, right? Why? Because the physical incarnation and actually owning our divinity, this is 5D, on the physical opens us to amazing ecstatic states of experience. The physical body gives us sensation. It gives us form and substance and body, right? And when you really bring your higher self down into your body, okay, so in Shindara, when we weave energy, we invoke higher self and we bring it into our bodies, it's a euphoric experience, right? Why? Because the higher self is experiencing us in sensation of physical form. And it freaking loves it, right? So we're not necessarily trying to ascend at this point. Maybe some of us are, but we're not trying to ascend right out of our bodies. That's not the point of ascension that we are currently in, okay? So there will be souls on our planet over the next few years that are choosing to not ascend. What will that mean? It will mean that the earth, when it ascends, because the earth is a body, the planet, Mother Nature, Gaia, right? She is also vibrating in faster frequency. She is elevating. In fact, she is starting to shift her magnetic poles. And it's not the first time she's done that across history, right? Okay, but she is vibrating at different levels. So she's rising, which means that eventually the environment won't really be conducive to 3D at all. However, there are still souls who want to experience 3D, who want to understand the nature of division, of separateness, of right and wrong. They want to explore that. Our souls want to explore everything, right? So they will choose to leave our planet and incarnate back onto in other realities that are still having 3D experience. Okay. I would like to know if everyone is following me. You're all still here, that's good. Let me know with just a heart or a thumbs up. Is this making sense? Am I just bringing it down onto the practical? Because I don't want this to be a waffly, esoteric discussion that no one gets. I want you to understand. So let me know. Okay, so from this perspective of understanding, what does that mean for energy, for light workers, for energy practitioners on our planet right now? Well, the first thing is you have access to a level of skill that you will never have experienced before, because everything is vibrating at a faster, higher frequency. Awesome, everyone's getting it. Yay, that's perfect. Okay. You're all vibrating, the whole planet's vibrating at a faster, more rapid frequency, which means our ability to work with energy is even more fluid and rapid than it used to be. We have bigger capacity. Now, if we are growing our capacity consciously, and you do as a weaver, okay, if you are consciously growing your capacity, you're keeping pace with that energetic rise, that frequency increase, okay? But I would argue every energy worker on the planet is feeling that pull to higher, more powerful stuff. Whether you're hearing it as a whisper inside that you're not even admitting, like, oh my God, I want to create those freaking miracle results. I want to create miracles, right? That's the call to the higher frequency. It is actually more available to you now than it was a decade ago, because we are vibrating faster. We have a lot of ascension energy ringing our planet. Our planet itself is vibrating and frequency higher and higher and higher, okay? So all of that is happening. You have access to much more than you think if you are willing to claim your power. And this is an interesting journey, okay? It's a journey I'm going to talk about. And if you seriously, like if you heard me go, you need to claim your power. You need to move past doubt and disbelief. You need to have a more healthy relationship with your power, not power over, old paradigm, but your power to command your energy at a very different level. Then you need to stay in contact with me this week, and I'm going to talk more about how to do that. Okay, Jennifer's got a question, and I am big on taking questions, so let's see. How do you think the people who choose to leave will manifest? Multiple ways, sweetheart. So some of them are going to leave through this pandemic. Some of them are going to leave through the waves to come. I would be lying if I told you this is the only shadow to rise in the next decade. It's not. Okay, but we are all going to navigate it from a much more empowered, prepared position. That is my goal. That is my mission, to make sure that you are in that position, okay? Yeah, so people will be leaving their lives, most naturally ending their incarnations. And maybe they do it naturally from old age too, right? The soul has probably agreed when it's going to exit the planet long before it had its life, right? So there will be all sorts of transitional pieces just from the souls that are like, you know what, I haven't finished with 3D. There's cool stuff down here that I need to experience and explore, and I need to integrate, right? And so they're going to stay. Okay. And actually, if you look at your parents, for example, now they're probably naturally like, well, my mum has passed, but my dad's in his 70s. My husband's parents are in are in their 70s, right? And they're not really even are trying to keep pace with what's going on. They're sort of like, oh yeah, I know the news. Like they get it and they're sort of there and they're doing the basics, whatever that means for your country at any time. But they're not necessarily thinking about expansion into 5D. And potentially that's because, I'm not going to make judgments, right? I'm going to try and say that that's definitely what's happening. But a lot of them are like, I have a soul contract that I'm going to leave before that comes back. Now, will they reincarnate back into a different plane, like a 5D plane? They could. They could. Anything is possible, right? Okay, so having said all of that and understanding where we're at with this world and what is being asked of energy practitioners right now, all of you, whether you're doing it professionally or not, you are being asked to step into a whole new level of understanding your true energetic nature. And I promise you that the potential for you to do things that are just, oh my God, miracles, is totally accessible to you right now. I promise you. The most typed phrase inside my weaving circles when women come and learn to weave energy with me is, oh my God, I just had the most magical experience. You won't believe it. Right? I hear that several times on a weekly basis. The ability right now with accelerated energy means that we are operating in a completely new playing field with our energetic bodies. Okay, what is the most powerful position to access this? Okay, we're on the physical plane. 3D, 4D, and 5D is still on the physical plane. So where is the most powerful place to access our energetic skill set? From within your body. Okay, this is something I really want you to get, because we often make it a really mental, intellectual experience. Okay, how many times have you learned some new energetic skill, a new energetic modality, and the first few times you're trying it on, you're completely in your head, walking through the process, thinking about how they're responding, how's the other person, how am I doing this, is this working, I don't know, let's analyze this, that's all a very mental perspective. But trying to access our energetic power and our energetic body from the mind is not our most direct route. Your energetic power, your energetic system flows through your pranic tube, your energetic core, up through the middle of your body, through all your chakras, right? It's flowing constantly. What's flowing through it? Life force energy, chi, whatever you want to call it. There's a gazillion terms for it, flowing through it all the time. I'm going to talk more about this as we move forwards, right? This is flowing through you all the time. And along that stream or river is also flowing all the intuitive languages and communication. And often we see this when we're like in our heads about it, where it's coming down, right? I'm getting a download, and we feel like our intuitive download or our hit is coming down through. It's all coming through your energetic core, okay? Now, what is in direct access instantaneously with your energetic core that's running through the center of your body? Your body! Yes, your body has more instant access to your intuition, to your wisdom, to your truth, to your power, and to your energetic magic than the mind. The mind can also access it, but the mind is not the most instant way to do it, and the mind has a lot of other purposes. Okay? The mind's job is to make meaning of things, is to judge, is to analyze, is to put things in boxes and make sense of everything. And it holds all of our memories. It holds all our trauma wounds and triggers. It's a very busy place in the mind. And I am not bagging the mind. I work a lot with the mind. It's an important place to be too. But it is not the most powerful place to work with energy. Okay? So, the most powerful position is from an embodied perspective, meaning in your body. So what does that mean if you're actually doing something practically, like, I don't know, clearing your energy or doing a Reiki treatment or whatever you're doing, right? I'm really curious, actually, what sort of energy practices you all use, because if you let me know, I can kind of fine-tune this information for you, right? But what does that mean? It means that if you take a breath and you feel yourself coming down into your body. Now, your two primary power centers as a woman are your womb space, or your second chakra, but I'm going to call womb space, and your heart chakra, which is your second power center, right? But if you breathe and you feel your essence or your awareness coming out of your head and down into your body, okay? Now, the advanced step of this is to actually perceive the world around you from those energetic spaces. Not just I'm putting my attention on my heart, but I'm actually so in my heart that I am seeing the outside perspective from my heart, like actually down at this level, right? If I was to open my eyes, I would kind of be seeing the world from down on this level. I can talk more about that if you're interested, but the point is, come down into your body. Take a few breaths. Breathe yourself down, right? I would breathe down into your center of gravity. And your center of gravity in the human body, and particularly in a woman's body, is her pelvis. Okay? In your hips, in your womb. Bring yourself down. Few breaths. Let go of the mind. Come down. Because what you access there is your energetic power and is your intuitive truth and knowing. Okay, and when you then go and do your Reiki treatment, or you go and do your clearing your blocks, whatever, you will perceive the whole thing from a completely different space. Okay, so, and you'll come into what's called body time. Body time is much slower and more present than head time. Okay, head time's body time, you'll slow yourself down. And so those of you that meditate probably have a feel of this, especially if you do something as an embodied process like yoga or qigong or tai chi or something like that, or you're a weaver, right? When you weave, you come straight into your body. You raise and build the energy in your body. You feel it in your body. You have an embodied sense and knowing and experience of energy moving through you, right? And you elevate much faster. It's an extremely rapid place to work with your energy. Extremely rapid. Whether you're a weaver or you're just practicing embodiment, it's an exponentially more powerful place. Maria, honey, question, let me see. I do a lot of embodiment work with clients, helping them release trauma and energy that's stuck, as well as working with the mind on a subconscious level. I always get women into their bodies, heart, womb, but I'm interested in how to see through those spaces more. Okay, let's see if I can get to that in a little bit. It is kind of a more advanced concept. It's not always easy for the beginning, but you're not at the beginning, so I will attempt to explain it. I'll just try and get through the rest of it and come back to that, Maria. Okay, so if you're in your embodied state, in your body, instead of your head, when you do this, any of your energetic work, what are the 5 pillars that we work with energy on the physical plane? How do we interact? How do we sense energy? How do we interact energy? How do we move it? How do we command it? How do we work with it, right? And there are 5 of them. So the primers are, you need to be aware and have present moment presence, right? Presence and awareness. Those ones you've probably all got down, right? But that's the general precursor. Okay, once you're in that state, there are 5. The first one is your intention. Your intention in your sovereign embodied state as a source of divinity in a physical body. Okay, there's a lot in that sentence, right? Your intention creates universes, right? And so your intention steers and directs energy, right? Even your intention to move your energy into your hand, it's just a small one, right? No creating universes, it's just, your intention, your will, your choice. Now, what does that look like? Some of the tools that are around, that's like vision boards, right? those sorts of pieces. I'm not against those, by the way, but I haven't done one for a long time. But those are those sorts of things. What is my intention? What am I choosing to create? And nothing happens without choice. As a sovereign being, your choice creates everything. Okay, so intention is the first one. The second one, I'm going to start by saying visualization. But when I say visualization, I mean all the intuitive languages, okay? Because not all of us are visual people, meaning, oh, I'm seeing this image on in my inner vision, okay? Not visually active, but in my inner vision, I'm seeing all these amazing symbols and things, and, not everyone gets that, right? Now, I'm a highly visual person. Highly visual, I don't love the term clairvoyant, but yeah, totally, right? But not everyone is. It took me a while of, years of teaching people to go, oh, not everyone does that. Okay, not everyone does that, but they might hear it. They might feel it in their body. They might just have a download. So this is my personal second sense, is that claircognizance. It just download in my body, and I'm like, oh, I've got all of that. Now I have to work out how to make it make sense, right? There's smell, right? There's audience, clairaudience. There's all of these skill sets, or intuitive languages, I call them. And for those of you who are getting hung up on visualization, imagination is a two-way intuitive language. I'm going to put that out there. I'm going to drop that down. People, let me know if you need me to talk about it this week. But the point is, that is a way that we create form out of energy. That's pillar 2. Pillar 3, sound. Sound is a vibration. Sound, every tone has a resonance. Sound interacts with our energetic field at a level like you wouldn't believe. And I believe personally is becoming more and more powerful as we accelerate. Okay? So what's that look like? On one hand, it could be like sound healing, right? On another, it could be inspirational music that you love. Has the ability to change your resonance, change your emotional state. Hell yeah, it does, right? We all know that. Or even mantras. The power of our spoken voice, speaking out loud, is actually really ridiculously powerful. But this is why reclaiming our voice, so many of us have got this whole reclaiming our voice, speaking our truth issue going on, right? Because a lot of us have been seriously clogged in the throat chakra and in sound, okay? So there's mantras in a sort of more Eastern tradition, or even the spiritual world has really adapted to mantras and affirmations. And on another level, that is no different to the elemental, fundamental basics of Wiccan spellcasting. It's the spoken word, right? So whether you do it from toning, chanting, sound, healing, music that shifts your vibration, your voice and what you speak into the world, like this is all sound, right? That has a profound ripple effect through energy, because energy is all working on that energetic wave. It's a really great, powerful way to do it, to be honest. And then the next one, breath work, right? But our breath is actually bringing in life force. Yes, on the physiological level, it's bringing in oxygen, right? But it's actually keeping the movement going in our energetic core. And when breath stops, life force stops and we leave the body, right? But breath is a fundamental way that we control and direct the energy within our bodies. And if you've done breath work, you know what I'm talking about. You can completely alter your state, starting at the energetic, but moving right through to the physical through your breath. Okay, and not a lot of breath, right? To actually deactivate and soothe and calm your neurological system, your nervous system, right? Out of fight or flight and down into some sort of calm, stable state. One of the most powerful ways to do that, well, two that I know, is breath, and the last one's movement. Okay, so movement is the last pillar. Movement, moving our body, right? Moving the energy around our body, our physical embodied position. What does that look like? What are you seeing around you that works with? yoga, tai chi, qigong, energy weaving, of course, right? But all of those, even when you go to clear your head and just come back to your center and you go for a walk or you go for a run, right? Or you do whatever it is that exercise people do. It's not really my forte, but right? All of that is accessing and working with energy. So those 5 pillars, you can use any and all combinations of those pillars. And you see them in all the tools that have been taught through 3D, all the way through across ages, right? And so those are going to elevate. Those are going to intensify as we move into 5D, but they're all still relevant. And I would suggest that you look at what you do as your own energetic practices and look which pillars you're using, because you'll be using them for sure. You absolutely will. Energy weaving, which is the modality that I teach, uses all 5 simultaneously, which is one of the reasons it's so fast and so powerful and shifts everyone into 5D in the weave. And so 10 minutes, right? It's a massive shift in your elevated state, in your energetic state. You can shift all sorts of stuff. For those of you that are clearing blocks, clear them in the weave, right? Clear it in the weave rather than like clear it from the head. That's a much harder position to do it. So, just a bit of transparency there about Shindara. Yeah, Shindara is an incredibly powerful modality. Energy weaving is incredibly powerful. It is the way to move yourself into next level consciousness, for sure. It is a way to have a completely embodied experience of energy instead of going, I don't know, do you think that worked? Do you think there's any energy there? That does not happen in weaving. You feel it running all the way through your body, right? And women have all sorts of amazing experiences with it, right? But it's absolutely real. And from that, you gain a massive amount of confidence and thus more belief in your power. And a cycle is created and you become more and more powerful in what you create and what you can weave, okay? And you have to trust. You're going to hear me talk about lots of different stories, not now, I don't want to go into it now, but of the crazy, amazing things people have done when they weave, because they elevate, they move their energy so fast through their body, okay? They elevate their consciousness up into 5D, and they have access to everything that exists up there in present moment, okay? So it's a really powerful modality. It's not the only one we've talked about, there's heaps, but it's a powerful one. Okay, so this is about understanding and working with energetics at a new level, primarily. Really want you to get that, because this week is all going to be about new level, definitely. And the new level here is the higher potential for us to claim our sovereign nature outside of the collective energy at the moment. This is important for light weavers, okay? Just checking. You're all still here. That's awesome. Okay. But this is critical. Question. Sorry, Jennifer. So where do things like Reiki or Theta fit in? Which pillars do they fall under? Okay, I would say Reiki uses, I did Reiki, 30 years ago, so I wouldn't claim to be like up to date with my Reiki, but I would say it uses intention primarily. It also uses, when I did it, visualization and intuitive languages, and also when I did it, I used breath. I don't know if everyone does, okay, but primarily it's intention and visualization, right? And you have activated channels, okay? So if you're a Reiki healer and you come and do weaving, because that's a common path, right? That there's Reiki is kind of like a joke, Reiki is the gateway into energy work, and maybe it is, right? I don't know, but you're already really activated in your hands. And so then when you elevate that, and maybe some of you are feeling that now, if you go and do energy work, if you do a guided process that lifts you up into 5D, you'll feel it in your hands. It will activate your Reiki channels, right, straight away, because it's a recognized path of energy flowing through your body, okay? So I would say primarily intention, but do Reiki from your body rather than your head and see what happens. Theta is using breath, okay? It uses breath, and it's actually shifting you down into different brainwave patterns so that you can surrender and relax into it all. And then I would argue it's probably using visualization and intention. It depends on the theta healer, would be my guess. But breath is a big one there, okay? Okay, so I missed one of the pillars. Intention, visualization, sound, breath, movement. There's only movement, moving our body. And so for some of you that looks like yoga, tai chi, qigong, going for a jog, you know, those sorts of pieces. And for those of us that weave energy, that's weaving, for sure. Okay, so this is about right now, you're being asked to step into a higher potential. And what does that bring? Okay, it brings a few things. One is we do not have to have healing be a hard, drudgerous, difficult experience. If you're operating from your true energetic nature, you can actually have it be a relaxing, joyful experience, even moving trauma. Okay, let me give you a more concrete example. Even moving sexual trauma, like a rape, right? I know this because I have clients who've done this, right? Who are doing this as we speak. And it's not a crappy experience. It's actually shocking them. It's like, what? I thought this was going to be, I've spent years trying to dodge this, right? And it doesn't have to be if you're coming at it from your true energetic nature. So healing and expansion, right? Because in essence, they're the same thing. When we heal, when we allow, when we integrate, we expand. Okay? And that also relates to the breathing cycle, which I'm about to get into. Some of you already know that because some of you aren't new here, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. So this is about right now owning the potential, which is a whole new level. What you thought wasn't possible is possible, okay, energetically. Yes, you can be an expansion. You can create consistent, sustainable flow. You can stabilize your energy, okay? You can own your sovereign nature outside of the collective, and it's actually being asked of you right now, okay? We cannot continue to get pulled under by the collective tide. That is crazy, crazy, right? And we'll fall into it because we're part of the field. But our challenge is to not have that happen. Okay, now how do you do that? There are things on the physical, and I've talked about them before, and I don't really want to talk about them today. Not getting sucked into the drama, right? But from an energetic level, what do you need to do to be in your optimal state? What is being asked of you right now is to hold the frequency, hold a frequency that supports ascension, okay? And that is not getting into judgment and going, oh my God, I can't believe that the world is in such a crap space and what the hell are people doing, right? And we've all done it. We've all done it, right? But that is not, that's separate, right? That's actually 3D. We need to come into a more sovereign nature, parallel to the collective, hold a frequency that truly serves, is one of the 100 monkeys, okay? And to do that, we need to very deliberately stay grounded, okay? Absolutely, 100%, you must stay grounded and anchored. Grounded in your body, which means do some form of physical embodiment every day, okay? And that can be whatever the hell you want, okay? If you're a weaver, then you're weaving every day right now. But if you're not a weaver, it's okay. Get out, go for a walk, do some yoga, stretch your body, just come into your body. It can be a gentle way, right? And you can actually come into your body not being 100% physical. What do I mean by that? I mean, you can come into an embodied state in the shower by really putting your focus and awareness on the physical embodied experience of having a shower as opposed to the mental experience, right? Actively bring yourself into your body, come into body time, slow the hell down, and from here you can access your intuitive truth and your higher self, okay? I'm going to talk about that more this week. But from that space, that is grounded. Grounded to your sovereign state. Grounded to Mother Earth. Grounded. And I'm asking that you actually really do this with consistency, right? Because if you don't, if you let it go for a week, you could even go 10 days, and you'll be like, I'm okay, I got it, I'm okay, I got it. You'll drift further and further until you'll realize, holy crap, I actually have an anchor anymore, and now I'm completely sucked into the collective tide. Okay? So yes, be fierce. Actually ground yourself. If you do not know what I mean by that, let me know, right? Ground yourself, get stable, and choose to hold a frequency that you can access, okay, that you believe is in higher service. Now, what do I mean that you can access? If you are fallen into 3D for any reason and are totally triggered, not having a great day, all happens to us, right? We get into those experiences. Asking you to access unconditional love and bliss is too big an ask for most of us, right? You need to climb the scale. So, can you access something like peace, acceptance, from there hope, potential, from there joy? Like, do you see how it has to rise? So what can you actually consciously continually choose that you have access to, that you can feel in your body legitimately, that you don't have to fake it? You could go, yep, it's there. Even if it's tiny, I can sense it. I can feel it. Breathe into it. Visualize it growing in your body until you anchor it and you allow that to become your new state. Always reach for a higher state. Always reach for the higher state and hold that frequency from a grounded, embodied position. I hope that's not too woo-woo. I hope that was practical. So that feels really practical to me. If that doesn't feel practical to you, please let me know, because I really want this to be needle-moving practical stuff. Okay, the last thing I'm going to briefly touch on, because I said I would, is the idea of our energetic bodies, our subtle energetic body, which kind of, on the energetic level, remember we talked about those levels of consciousness all sitting parallel on top of each other in real time? Our energetic body is sitting parallel on top of us in real time to our physical body, to our mental body, to our emotional body. It's actually most closely linked to body, closely followed by emotional, and then mental. Okay, so as that is its own system, a system of our being. Okay, like the respiratory system, like the circulatory system, like the digestive system, we have an energetic system. Now, our energetic system has an autonomic system, like our respiratory. It breathes without us having to remind ourselves every breath to breathe. Our heart beats, autonomically. We have an energetic autonomic system. I don't want to talk about that tonight because we'll go forever. But we also have the need for our energetic system to breathe. Okay? We do not stay in one static state. Energy is fluid. Energy is always moving. That is its constant state, right? And you've heard emotions are energy in motion, right? Everything wants to be in motion. And when you create an emotional block, you refuse to acknowledge something, you refuse to feel it, you hold it in your body, you're stopping flow, you're stopping energetic movement. And it's actually the stopping of the energetic movement that creates exponentially more discomfort and problems in your body than the experience of it. Okay? And Maria, you would know that because it sounds like that's part of the work you do, right? So, our energetic system wants to breathe. It breathes all the time. You cannot, from your respiratory system perspective, always breathe out and never breathe in again. You run out of out, right? You got to breathe in. Your energetic system does the same. So, on one term, that we could call that giving. You can't always give and give and give and give of your energy without receiving, right? On another level, we call it expansion of your energetic system and contraction. Okay, your system expands and contracts gentle breathing cycle, much like your lungs. Now, most people want to stay perpetually in expansion, okay? Not possible. And if you learn to embrace expansion and contraction, contraction needs to be reframed. When I talk to people about this, they go, oh my God, I get it. Well, how can I make contraction hardly ever happen? How can I get out of it as fast as possible? I get that, but the reframe needs to be that contraction can be just as powerful and just as pleasurable as expansion, okay? So that's a big topic right there. But expansion and contraction of our energetic system is happening all the time. Now, if you're in 3D, you're not even aware of it. If you're in 4D, if I asked you now, you could probably, if I ask you over the next 48 hours to notice, am I in expansion or contraction? Expansion is, I feel energized. I feel outwardly expressed. I'm ready to take steps. I'm ready to connect with the world. I have creative drive and will pushing out. Like, I'm in a pretty expansive state, even though I use the same word there, right? But you know what I mean. Contraction is, I've had enough of the world. I need to contract. I need to come back. I need to cocoon. I need to integrate. I need to create spaciousness for me to just sit, right? So we have expansion and contraction. One is not more powerful than the other, but our system is always breathing through the two of them. Now, because in current society there's a massive drive to always be in expansion, we resist contraction. We try to put it off as long as possible. I don't have time for that, right? And when we push off the contraction for as long as possible, when we resist it, we put ourselves into a forced contraction. Now, if you're lucky, it just means that you have an emotional crash. You can't cope. Or you have particularly stressful PMS that month and you just can't do it anymore, right? Those I call feathers, right? They're not super huge. They're, well, actually not feathers. They're more trucks, right? Or bricks in the middle. They're like, oh, okay, I'm really being forced. I can't keep going. Now, you'll also notice that suddenly you feel like you're against flow, right? Everything is freaking hard. Everything doesn't quite work, right? Something breaks. Everything's harder than it needs to be. Facebook keeps crashing when you're trying to get your Facebook ad going, right? It's these irritations and it's just happening one after the other and it's just little, but that is like, oh my God, I'm against flow. You're against flow because you're not observing your energetic state of expansion and contraction and moving with the natural state, okay? If you continue to push past that, and people do, then you can get yourself into a massive forced contraction where you get sick, where you lose your job, where life just gets totally shit, right? And you are forced to stop because you've got no choice, right? I am not a fan or an advocate of waiting for forced contraction. If you are aware, which all of you are now, now that I've said it, and you were aware before, but now I've brought it really into consciousness of expansion and contraction, and you work with it. And by that, what if you go into conscious contraction? I need to integrate. I need to slow down and take space. This actually feels cozy and delicious, and I'm totally okay with that, right? I'm going to embrace the rainy day and have a fire and make soup, right? Whatever it is. I'm going to just read this book. I'm going to allow myself, I'm going to be gentle and kind with myself and allow myself to embrace contraction. What will happen? Okay, you will handle contraction incredibly differently. For a start, this roller coaster of I'm in expansion, I'm in contraction, and I'm in expansion will go like this. Just nice and smooth. You'll just feel it. And that's actually something to orientate to, right? It happens for weavers and they all go through this and they're like, I don't understand where I'm at. And I say, this is just your new level of contraction. Okay, you don't have to hit rock bottom. You don't have to feel crap. You're just retreating a little bit and then coming out again and back and out, right? So it stops roller coastering. The other thing is you come into flow, sustained flow, right? You can be in flow and be in contraction. You can still have life moving in an easy, non-resisted direction in contraction. And that's what flow is, moving in alignment with your energetic nature and the way energy is flowing through your body. So, can you manifest in contraction? Yep. Can you manifest in expansion? Yep. Can you heal in expansion? Yep. Can you heal in contraction? Yep. Okay. The trick is to know that you are, to stay in flow, to know where you are and to work wholeheartedly, fully with the energy that you're in. Not because it's like, oh, I've got to get out as fast as possible, but as an embracing as you can of your natural energetic nature. Okay? All right. I threw a lot in there. I'm just going to check in with everyone. Where is everyone at? Does anyone have a question or need any elaboration? Tell me what your main takeaway from today was, right? What are you going to take forwards? The next training is on Wednesday, okay? We're going to bang, bang, bang because I want you to all elevate right now, okay? Before we have any other big waves, now that we're past solstice and we can come into a proactive state rather than a reactive state, we're done with that. What do you need? What is your takeaway? Let me know. You are still all here. Good. Okay. Let me know what it is. And so what do I recommend that you do between now and the next workshop? I recommend that you start tracking your expansion and contraction. Notice where you're at. Just intuitively. Do I feel expansive or do I feel like I need to contract? Right? Now, if you feel like you're contracting because the collective tide is too crazy and you're in like energetic overload, meaning, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, I can't cope, life's too big, I need to escape, and I'm anxious and I'm not sleeping and my digestive system's fallen over, all of those pieces, and you're feeling contraction from that space, first of all, you need to honor that. But second of all, you don't need to always be having that experience of contraction. Ground. Do you remember I spoke about ground and come into a frequency that feels slightly higher to you and hold. Ground, hold. Okay? Your job is to create a sacredness in your life, a tiny pocket, and it can be literally 60 seconds. Doesn't have to be elaborate ritual, where you are doing that with conviction, right? So that you're not without anchor. Okay? Because you can't serve when you're lost in the collective tide on any level. Okay? It's really hard to do. All right. So, are you in expansion or contraction? And secondly, are you grounding and holding your frequency? What frequency are you holding? Just ask yourself for the next 48 hours. Am I grounded? Am I in my body? What frequency am I holding? And am I in expansion or contraction? Because all of those things can happen in either state. They feel different, you experience them slightly differently, but all of them can happen regardless of where you are in your energetic breathing cycle. Okay, lovelies. I know that you're here, but you're all quiet. Probably overwhelmed you because that was quite big, and I swore I was going to try and keep them shorter. This week, I'm going to give you all of the information. Next week, we're talking, this Wednesday, we're talking about healing as a joyful process, how that can look, clearing our fields, how to create sovereignty, going deeper into all of that. And then Friday, we're going into how to really power up next level energetics to create those, oh my God, miracles, right? Because that is accessible now in the field. And it's time that we all step into it. Okay? I'm glad you loved it, Maria. It was awesome to have you here. Mwah. Okay, so lots happening. Those of you that are here now, I'll send you the link for office hours on Thursday. So if you're here now, leave your takeaway. Leave your biggest aha that you're going to work with. If you're on replay in the next 24 hours, or certainly before Thursday, same thing. And I will send you the link to office hours. Office hours means that I will be on my private line, and you don't have to, but you're welcome to come on during that time. And if you're the only one there, I just laser coach you, just get personal coaching. Often there's a really small group, which I just do a group coaching session. It's a great way to take it to the next level. And I do that if you're active in my community, right, as an active service for you all. Jennifer, you are most welcome. I'm in peaceful contraction currently, Maria. Awesome. I love that. And I love that you're embracing peaceful contraction as opposed to forced crappy contraction. Awesome. Okay, I am looking forward to this week and seeing how we all flow. The more you engage, the more I will give you, the more I will direct you towards whatever needs to happen. I am tossing up with the idea. I feel like there's going to be some actual guided process that I can guide you through, either to something to clear or something to raise into. I'm not really sure what it is yet, and I know it's just going to come because you're all going to tell me what you need. So we will go there. But for today and the next couple of days, grounding out of my mind and into my body consciously. You are so welcome, Gia, and welcome to Shandara. It's awesome to see you here. Perfect. I would love to hear how you go with that, right? Let's keep the container this week going. I'm really dedicated to supporting you all, okay? So let's see how we go, see how the journey unfolds, and until then, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye, everyone.